Mother hated her son even before he was born, so she sold him for $1 million without knowing what would happen. Since she was pregnant, she hated her son, and on the advice of a bad man who supposedly loved her, she decided to sell him for no more and no less than $1 million. But life took care of making her see the big mistake she had made. Diana was a cheerful woman who lived to enjoy life. Her mother had passed away when she was only 15 years old, so from that age she faced life alone and was very responsible in absolutely everything. However, when it seemed that everything was starting to go well for her, she began to go out with a group of friends she met. The young woman felt very happy with those friends whom she knew very little. However, together with them, she went on trips to the beach. They organized barbecues at her house, and she felt very confident with them, even though she knew them very little. One week, they planned to go to a party at the beach, and Diana was totally willing. She asked permission at work not to attend that Saturday, and they left very early. And that party ended in a nightmare for Diana, because the 4 guys she was with took advantage of her against her will, and one of them hit her, to finally leave her laying on the sand. The young woman had no way to return home, as they even stole all the money she was carrying. At dawn, she asked for help, and a family on vacation gave her money so that she could return home. Diana told one of her neighbors what had happened and told her to report them, but she did not even know the last names of the scoundrels who had taken advantage of the moment. A month later, she found out that she was pregnant and cried her eyes out, because she said that the baby would only end up ruining her life. Besides, she didn't even know which of those guys the baby belonged to. Diana hit her belly and cursed the baby, while her friend told her to be patient because the child was not really to blame for what those men had done to him. She reminded her that a child is always a blessing. However, the young woman did not understand reasons, and all the messages she gave to the baby in her belly were negative. When the child was born, things got worse, as she did not take care of him, left him with a dirty diaper for hours, and did not feed him. The baby's crying bothered her. She was always hysterical and wished the worst for the baby. Her neighbor was sorry for the baby, of course, and would bring him to her to take care of him. When Diana had to return to work after maternity leave, her friend stayed with the child to support her. A year later, Diana met the man of her dreams, Ricardo. He came to work at the company where she worked as a secretary. His position was a janitor, but the truth is that she did not mind, because in reality, the man was nice and, above all, quite talkative with a speech that convinced anyone. From the first day they got closer, she invited him to sit at her table for lunch, and then they went out together. They had dinner in a modest restaurant nearby, and a week later, the man had already moved into her house. Before that, she told him that she had an unwanted child, and that she hoped that this would not be an obstacle to their love. Ricardo told her not to worry, that he was interested in her regardless of whether she had children. Things got complicated for poor Luisito, because if before his mother did not pay attention to him, now that he had company, much less. Diana demanded him to take care of Ricardo as if he were her servant. Besides, even though the child was small, she forced him to wash the bathroom, to clean, and even to cook. Her neighbor, when she found out about the situation, advised her to be careful with Ricardo because she did not think he was a trustworthy person, and she told her that the relationship was going too fast. But Diana asked her to stay out of his business. One morning, when the neighbor arrived at Diana's house, she found the boy rubbing Ricardo's feet. So she complained angrily to her friend, who ran her away. That same morning, they called Ricardo from the financial house because he had several payments in arrears of the motorcycle, and they only gave him a week to catch up. The truth is that the man told Diana about his situation, and she told him, crying, that she was tired of being poor. But what bothered her the most was the child. At this moment, the man told her that they could sell him to a family that had not been able to procreate. She thought it was an excellent idea, because this way she could get out of poverty, and also she would get rid of the child that bothered her so much, and to whom she constantly told him that he was a nuisance. An hour later, Ramiro returned and told her that the family had $1 million available to buy the child. She immediately took the child by the hand and went to deliver it without any feelings. They signed a contract and received the money in cash. Ramiro quit his job and so did she. They went to the beach for a week and then the man was annoyed by everything. He bought a luxury apartment and when Diana was packing her bags to leave with him, he told her she was crazy because he would move in with his new girlfriend because he didn't love her anymore. At that moment, he demanded the money and laughed in her face because he had already deposited it in her account and left her penniless. She wept bitterly and resigned herself to continue living in her humble house. And now she did not even have enough to eat, for her beloved had no pity on her. The years went by, and when she was 18 years old, she wrote a letter and left it under the door of her house. In it, she told him that although she never loved him, he did love her for having given her life. And although he had not made her happy, she thanked him for having carried him in her womb and for selling him to a good family, who gave him all the love that she could never give him. That letter shook the woman, who immediately went to the house of the family where she had sold her son, to ask the adoptive father's forgiveness. He was very touched by the boy's noble heart and told her that even though she had sold him to him, he would allow her to visit him so that she could see what a great person her son was. It turns out that the boy never called her mother but referred to her as Diana, for his mother was the woman who loved him without nesting him inside her. Diana learned a great lesson from all of that because she preferred that man to her son and ended up receiving the most vile betrayal. Because if it had not been for her neighbor, she would have died of hunger and depression. Friends, we have reached the end of this story. It ends here. We hope you enjoyed it and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. Don't forget to share this one with your friends and family in your social networks. A hug and see you next time.